Good morning, everyone. This is Miss T. I hope you had a good evening and slept well, and that you woke up in good spirits, and God blessed you because He woke you up. So I think we all need to give Him a blessing, give Him a thanks, and thank you for His mercy and grace. Because, like I said, there was a lot of people that did not wake up this morning. So I hope you spend some time with the Lord, maybe read a verse or said a prayer, and you're ready to go on with your day. Today, what we're going to talk about will be a very controversial subject. And the reason why I wanted to discuss this today is because I think a lot of people, as we were growing, or as times were changing, we were hearing all this demonic and strange things that we didn't believe it. Like, who would do so? People wouldn't do that. But it's true, because in the last lost, stolen chapters of the Bible, it says that these things will happen. It says that children will be sacrificed, whether that is sacrificed to demons, or sacrificed to women selling their children, whatever sacrifice. But because we didn't get a chance to study the true word and the true Bible, these things never registered in our head. Like, it wasn't, no one would think that, no one would do that. That's not, who would think of taking their child, their baby, and performing whatever kind of sacrifice on them. But now the truth is out, and it's given me chills, because I've been put in certain circumstances, and I'm hoping that it wasn't due to my mother. But you have to think. So I've talked about my childhood and how tough that it was. But like I said, God made me He made me different. Like, I was the type of kid that you wouldn't be able to scare me easily. You wouldn't be able to talk me into anything that I didn't think was right, or you weren't able to threaten me, that type of thing. But I was put in circumstances that could have harmed me, and I believe that's because God was with me. So my mom was single, and I love my mother. I always say this: I have forgiven my mother. We had became close, as I got older, and I never go around saying anything bad about her. I just tell my story. And so when I was younger, I was like the oldest one in of my siblings, because my older brother had moved out of the house, so I was the oldest one in the house. So it was my responsibility to take care of my brothers and sisters, and to clean, and to cook, and to just make sure they were all right, protect them, because we were mostly left at home alone, and I just couldn't be afraid. And even if I was afraid, I don't remember, but I had a job to do. I had to take care of my brothers and sisters. So if all of us are sitting around and we're scared and you know, who's going to, I just didn't want my brothers and sisters to feel afraid. And so the people that my mom associated herself with were not good people, and I don't know if I don't know, but I've encountered grown men, you know, knocking on the door looking for my mom's boyfriend, or, you know, and, you know, this one time, and I shouldn't have opened the door, but sometimes when you feel cocky, or you feel like, I got to the point where, like, I'm running this, can't nobody come in here and harm us. And so I had to rethink that, because I was still a child. I think I was only 13, 14, something like that. So he came by and he was looking for my mom's boyfriend. Neither one of them were home, and so he just pushed open the door, and he, you know, pretended like, well, he told me to come over here and meet him, and I kept telling him he's not here, they're not here. So it turned from, can I talk to you? And I'm like, what, for what? And he said, I just needed to talk to you. Well, not to get into all the details, what he wanted to talk to me about was, he didn't want to talk. He wanted to do things to me. And so in my mind, so you have, like I said, people have split decisions. You can't be, in my mind, you can't be weak. So I think a lot of my childhood, I was not a child. I wasn't a child. I couldn't be a child. I couldn't act like a child. I had to be an adult in a child's body, and not really knowing what an adult is. I had to think on my feet and to protect me and my brothers and sisters. So I always had a mouth, and so I told him, if you don't, if you don't leave right now, first I'm going to call the police, and then I'm going to call, and that wasn't, I'm saying that, but what if this crazy maniac would have ripped the phones out of the wall or whatever? I'm going to call the police, and then I'm going to call my mom. And so I think it wasn't worth him, I guess it wasn't worth him having to fight with me or whatever. So he did leave, but I know that was just God watching over and protecting, because he always watches over babies. And so I did tell my mom what happened. She never said what the outcome was. She never sat me down and said, never open the door. I don't care if they're friends of ours. They say they're friends of ours. Protect, never open the door. Don't let them fool you, or just, anything. She didn't say you did the right thing. She didn't say you did the wrong thing. I just told and I just didn't, and then it just went away. So in my mind, telling doesn't help. It doesn't get you anywhere, because I was looking for them to drag him over and make him apologize, and of course I was a child, harm him or do something that I would feel safer knowing that he knows that I told an adult, and that he better not ever try that again. So I had to get over that. Other things came along. I was still head of the house and taking care of my brothers and sisters and doing what I had to do. And I never once thought that, this is not my job. Why do I have, I never thought that. These were my brothers and sisters who looked up to me and were basically looking to me for, comfort, help, whatever that they would be looking to their mother for. And so I did the best I could. I could, make sure that they had food. Sometimes we ran out of food. We didn't have a lot. So I had to be creative, and if we didn't have a lot to spread around or whatever, I would feed my brothers and sisters, and I wouldn't eat. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I don't want anyone to say, that was horrible, poor her. Yeah, it was horrible. But I think everything that I went through gave me the strength to be where I'm at today. Gave me the ability to read people, to kind of figure out when people come into your life what their agenda is. And sometimes I could be mistaken, and I could push people out of my life based on what I think their agenda is. But I just figure, as if it was a mistake, oh well, I'd rather have lost than to have tried, have it turn out a different way. And so that's one of the memories I have. But the other memory I have is more in depth. And as I was reading the lost scripture, and it was talking about sacrificing of children, it didn't say what type of sacrifice. I'm sure people believe that people cut babies and take their whatever, but there's other ways to sacrifice your child. And I never thought, I know my mom was going through whatever she was going through, and she relied on me to take her place until she was able to get back on track. So my mom started to date a middle 20s, early 20s, whatever. And I believe I was 16. Now, we weren't a family. He didn't come in and be around us for a long time and, you know, throw the football around with my brothers, or he didn't come in like a father figure. So basically, he was there, we see him in passing, and that was that, and that was fine, because I didn't want to deal with any of it, anything that had to do with what I felt as evil or just pain. I didn't want to deal with it, so I just focused on my brothers and sisters. So one day, my mom, he wanted to go somewhere, and he wanted me to go with him. And I'm looking at, why do I need to go? But my mom told me it was okay to go with him. And you still trust your mother. You still, because that's your mother. And you don't think that your mother, at least I didn't think, you know, that a mother would do anything to harm their child purposely, or to, you know, put them in a situation where they would have to fight or anything like that. So it kind of let my guard down, as far as, because if he would have came over, my mom wasn't home, and he would have said, I want you to come ride with me, I would have said no. But my mom made it sound like it was okay. And so I went with him. I don't know where we were supposed to be, but we ended up in like a wooded area, you know, with nobody really around, not a lot of cars and not a lot of, you know, traffic. And so he turned the car off, and then, you know, he just started talking and telling me how pretty I was, and I was like, you're my mother's boyfriend. And he, you know, did that whole, have you been touched before, and how it can make you feel. And he wanted to make me feel, he wanted to show me how it felt. So, to think fast, because I always have a comeback, and that's even in comedy, because I love comedy. I love to laugh and make people laugh. So I always have something to come back with. But God allowed me not to even be afraid. He allowed me not to, you know, feel like I was in danger, even though I probably was. But if I acted upon that, things wouldn't have turned out the same way. And I told him, look, don't touch me. I don't want you, I don't want you that way. Please take me back to my mom, and I won't tell her what you tried to do if you just take me back to my mom. And I guess that was, you know, because of course he was young and he didn't have things, so him being with my mom allowed him to have a car, because she had a car, we had a house, food, you know, stuff like that. So he did take me back wherever I needed to go, but I had no respect for him. I couldn't I couldn't look at him. I didn't want to be around him. I kept my younger sisters, in my sight, because, I don't know what type of man this is. But it was sad because I didn't think, if I told my mom, I didn't think anything would change. And now that I'm thinking back and reading, it scares me to think that could have been a sacrifice, a different kind of sacrifice. You know how men manipulate women and say, and when women think there's a shortage of men and they just want to have any old kind of man, he can be a piece of garbage. I don't know if he had a conversation with my mother. I'm just speculating. I'm not. Nothing was ever said to me or gave me any kind of inkling that she already talked to him and let him know it was okay. But it just molded me into the person that I became, and then I had to decide to take time to heal me, because I treated all men, especially after the first boyfriend that I ever had, who abused me and SA'd me. So in my mind, men were evil. They took what they wanted. They said what they want. They feel you are just a piece of property, and you have no say over your life. You have no say over your body. And I wasn't going to be one of those women. So, excuse me, I'm trying to get back into my computer. And so that molded me into the type of person. I didn't give men a chance. I dated, but any little thing that I felt uncomfortable with, or anything that I felt you were trying to manipulate or trying to have control of me, I had to let you go. And I left some good men, but I wasn't healed. I couldn't see past the trauma, and and I didn't feel like I needed help, because I thought I felt empowered to be able to tell a man, I'm fine just by myself. Just to let him know that I don't need you. I don't care if you're here, or I don't care. You're either here or you're not. But it makes me no difference. And so, after a few relationships of going through that, I realized that I had to fix myself, because it wasn't you should never drag all the trauma and with you to another relationship, and he had nothing to do with the harm that you had before. Now, what I want to talk to mothers about, if you're single and you have small children, or you have teenage girls, or whatever, it's a different kind of, you have to move in a different kind of way. I know women feel they need, companionship or whatever, but if you don't protect your kids, the pain and the trauma that they have to get over in their adulthood is very devastating. and it might not, come out right. It might, some people who have been traumatized, move a different way. I've talked to young ladies. I've talked to, ladies have been through different things, and some of them say, once they've been through that, they become promiscuous, and that's because they choose. It's like, you're not taking it, I'm giving it to you, but I don't have any. It's not like I want to have any kind of closeness with you or any type of relationship, because I'm running my situation, I'm running my body. You can never take that away from me. And so it causes a lot of issues. And in our community, we don't understand if black men or young black men just see this young girl, and she's got a reputation because she just goes around and does what she does, not knowing what she is feeling inside, not knowing what she had to go through. She's just labeled a hoe, and they just give her all these names and then just label her without even knowing that this is a sickness. This is her way of trying to heal her pain, but she just doesn't know any other way, because all that's doing is causing more pain and issues. So and that goes for young men. Adult men, really, if they're pedophiles and they're deviant and they don't really care what sex you are, child, woman, girl, boy, they really don't care. It's about the control. It's about having power over someone, or they can't, or the fact that they're doing something right under the woman's nose, and she doesn't know, and you think she doesn't know, but maybe some do know. I would truly hate to feel that about a mother, that a mother would let this happen, but it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. So men, if you have children, because it's too late for all the, God put it out there for us to do it right, and we didn't because of sin. We have so and so has 5 kids over here, and he has 6 kids over there, and he's got in between, and some of those kids are being left by the wayside. They're being abused and tortured and all those kind of things. And if you're not in their life for whatever reason, you're contributing. Do you think when your child becomes older and she's going through things and she feels like she's worthless, and another man's not going to take them their body unless they pay for it, or alcohol or drugs only makes them feel better? Do you think when you see them on the street that she's not going to include, you weren't there, you didn't participate in the trauma, but you don't think she's going to blame you for what she had to go through? Of course, because you were her father and you were supposed to love and protect her. So what I say, men, at any cost, try to be in your child's life. When I talk, I don't talk as I'm on the woman's side because I'm a woman. I'm on the right side. I'm on the true side. I'm on the side of a child who has no chance or who has no one else to turn to. So if she's fighting you, because that's their favorite, their famous thing is to keep you from your child. You can't see your child. And then you hear that she's got her new boyfriend playing daddy to her kids, and that's to upset you. But by any means necessary, you need to be in your child's life. If you have to go and put child support on yourself, if you have to go and get evidence that your child is being abused or being neglected or whatever. Mothers think that courts always want the children to stay with the mother. Well, yeah, they want them to stay with the mother, but if they're not being taken care of, they will snatch them out of their mother's custody and put them where they're safe. And if that's the father's house, then that's what it would be. I know women can get raunchy and just get vindictive, and so they want to cause your life a misery because they're upset. If you have to put her in jail, put her. If she's coming over to your house and busting out windows and just causing all kinds of ruckus for no reason. I believe there's people who feed off of drama and turmoil. They're not happy unless there's some kind of altercation or something going on, and then they will film it because that adds to the situation. It makes it people want to watch, and because everybody's trying to go viral, so it's just a vicious circle. It starts off this way and then it just trickles on down the path. I had a stepfather who was very good to me and my brothers and sisters early on, but my mom divorced him, and so after that we didn't ever have any kind of stability or any kind of man to just nurture us, just give us guidance or anything like that. I had my grandfather and my grandmother, but when my mom was upset, because of course I'm the mom, I don't care if my kids are in here starving, I don't care if I've left them in here for 2 weeks, I don't care, they're my kids. That's how they think. You can't tell somebody, even though they know they're doing wrong, you cannot tell them how to raise their kids. They don't care. So she would keep us from my grandparents. So punishing them, punishing us, and so that we couldn't let them know what was going on in the household. And so yeah, we just endured that. My mom we went through this for quite a few years, and very, very unhealthy, very, very toxic relationships. I didn't want to be in a relationship with a man that loved me, because I didn't want him. In my mind, after the first relationship that I had, and he was telling me that he loved me and he didn't want me away from him, and then he was beating me and doing other things, I put those together. This is supposed to be love, because I was a child. So I don't want love. I didn't want to be loved. I didn't know what another word would be for, because if this is love, I don't want to have any part of it. And so when I finally got away from him, it's horrible. I got away from him, and then I started to date someone else, and he was just as worse. So this time I had to move out of town to get away from him. And then after that, it was like, I just don't know. I just want to focus on getting my life in order and doing the things that I want to do, and without a man, because you have to split your time. I didn't want to have to feel like I owed him something. I had to be responsible for his feelings too, while I'm trying to go to school and make my life better. So I had to push all that aside. I had, and then as I, got a little older, yes, I got married. My husband was in the military, and so they were trained to be, kind of non-caring, because they had to, they had to be on mark all the time. They had to be clear their minds of sympathy and things like that, because they were making them into killing machines, and they didn't know how to turn that off when they were home. And so that didn't work. So after that, I said, okay, I just need to work on myself. But I became hurtful. I became disrespectful towards men. I became, and that wasn't cool. So when I decided, yes, it's time for me to fix myself, that's what I did. I didn't date. I didn't want any man in my life. I wanted to do what I needed to do to get myself together and to work out all the things that I needed to do. And it just took from there. I never, after a while, I didn't even think about relationships. I didn't think about spending time, with a man or anything. And God also comes, when he comes into your life, like I said, when you're trying to do right by his word, he will step in and make sure that you don't have to go backwards. I guess there is a lot of situations where people say that you need to have a healthy sexual relationship. But what God says is that you need to have one wife, and then everything is, you'll have that relationship. And he also says, be fruitful, multiply. Your kids will be in the same house with both their parents. and that's how it was supposed to go. But since it's not, we have all this other things that have come about, like women telling men that they're the fathers, and then they find out that they're not the fathers after so many years. It's just too much, and it's because of sin. If we follow what God has said, we wouldn't have never. This wouldn't have never been a part of life. But because sin came in, took over, the devil has made us, the world, look glamorous. Men feel superior because they can have as many women as they want, and they really don't have any consequences, because the women are following, are agreeance and following along. Some women, I know there are some other women that still don't play that, but they have this structure. They think they have this structure where I have these women, and if I can get them to cooperate, then my kids will be better. If I can get them to work together, everything will come out. But who's benefiting? Because it's sure, I'm not gonna say it's not the women, it's him. So mainly what we're dealing with, we're living in a man's world. We always have. So whatever they come up with, whatever things have changed, it's always to cater to the man. And is it really worth it? Some of you women say yes, and that's fine. But if you wake up in the morning and you're wondering why you wake up with headaches, or you just don't feel good all the time, and you have to rearrange your schedule because you need to pick up his other baby mama's kids, and you don't want him to think that you're not, you don't have his back, and but sometimes you just want peace and quiet to yourself, and there's never peace because you're a part of this situation. If those symptoms or those things are going through you, you really are not. You really don't want to be there. You're just holding on, hoping that one day this man will decide to choose you, and you guys can settle down. You'll never hear of a woman with 3 men that they all know about, and the situation working out just fine. Never. So it's been a man's world. And the black women, like I said, we are in a war with the black men. They blame us, we blame them. I don't really know what their gripe would be. Maybe someone can have a panel and talk seriously about what black men's gripes are with black women, because I couldn't see what the issue with black women are unless you're just saying they put child support on you. I don't know what else. But black women's gripe with men is that they're disrespectful. Um, they use these names, and then they try to say, this is not against, we're not saying it against you as the woman. This is just a natural thing that, but it's not a good thing. If you have a mother that you watched break her back to take care of you and your brothers and sisters, and she never gave up. She fell asleep at the kitchen table because she was so tired from working 2 jobs, but she still managed to have cooked the meal for tomorrow. If you watched a black woman who never gave up and never let the trials bring her down, you would never call that woman a B. You would never let anyone else call your mother a B. You would never let someone disrespect her with names and anything. That's just the same with the women out here. You don't think that the younger women somewhat younger women out here are doing the same thing? Taking care of business, making sure everything's right, making sure the lights don't get cut off, the water doesn't get cut off, making sure, and extra, some of them, want to make sure their kids have nice things too. So what is the definition of a B? Maybe if men could explain what that means to black women. First of all, it's not a term of endearment, but if you can explain why that definition is used every day, all day, and it's plastered in people's heads. So you think it's okay to walk around the house and call your woman a B, and your kids hear this all day and all night. Your son hears this, your daughter hears this. So are you letting your daughter know that it's okay to be called that, and you're letting your son know it's okay to call women that? It starts in the home. If you want to give your child a chance, you do whatever you have to do to change the scenarios, to change the past, to change the trauma, and give them hope, give them a better outlook in life, so that they don't think that the only thing they can do is sell drugs to get a lot of money, because not a lot of black boys are going to make it in the NBA or the NFL and be a rapper. Those odds aren't really in their favor. So we need to be pushing other things. There's jobs out there, training out there, where they can make a good, decent living and feel proud about themselves. Women have it worse because I guess it'd be the same thing. There's a lot of women who sing. Everybody doesn't make it. Rap. And I don't like women rappers because it seems like in order for them to make it on top, they have to be seductive or sexual, or say things that are appalling, or to shock people. There's no more MC Lights, and there's no more Queen Latifahs and Moni Loves, JJ Fads, and others. It's basically who can be the most ratchet, who can say the most ratchet words, who can act the most ratchet. And the girls get excited and scream and holler and think that these people are their role models. And parents, if you're not listening to what they're listening to, you need to. And if your daughter is walking, I said this before, if she's walking around with Sexy Red's lip gloss in her purse, you need to take it and burn it and throw it away. I'm probably sure it's not a better quality because it's Sexy Red. It's the names that draw attention. And people, the kids, it's funny, but this says gonorrhea green, and this says but brown, what? That is the most filthiest. I don't know who came up with that idea, and maybe her sales are up. I will have to look. I don't know, but she's letting women know that you're only here to please men, and it's okay if you have a disease. You can get it cured. And it's okay if you sleep around with different men because they do it. So why should you not do it? And some men praise them for that. Some men come looking for them because they already know what they're going to get when they hook up with them. Men want their wives to be humble and respectful and not in the streets, and at home making sure the home is okay and food is on the table. But that's what you want your wife to be. But when you're out on the street and you're just playing, you don't care about that. You want the woman who's wearing the shortest, tightest clothes and is willing to do whatever desires you have. So where do you go from that to finding that perfect woman to be your wife? Do you then say, do you say, I'm done with all this, I'm going to go look for my wife? Or do you find that perfect woman and you mold her over here while you're still sowing your wild oats? So yeah, men basically, they think this is their good life. They're living their good life. And I can understand why they think, there's nothing other than this. This is the good life. We're popping bottles and we're throwing money up in the air, and we're driving sports cars, and we just and the women love it. A black rapper can have one eye, a hole through their nose, and just whatever, look like Quasimodo. As long as he has money, he's in. Women don't even care about what he looks like. They just care about the money. And that's horrible. I'm not saying that people who have, issues or have defects aren't just as beautiful as everybody else, but why would you want to have a woman that doesn't love you, or is just using you for your money, and as soon as she finds someone else with more money who looks better, you're going to be dumped? So back to the Bible. He's not going to if you refuse to read the Bible, some people refuse because they say it was written by the white man, and that's not true. What the white man did was take some books out that they didn't want in there because it would give away the secret of where the origin of the Bible came from and where the origin of God's people came from. But they did not write the Bible. So if that's your excuse, I'm not going to read the Bible because the white man wrote it, you're going to be held accountable. He's not going to, okay, well, I respect your theory that the Bible is not true, so I'll give you a pass and you can go to heaven. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's not giving any. God is a loving God. God loves. He says he loves. He's all about love. Love is all the way through the Bible. I'm pretty sure if you can find out how many times love is written in the Bible, I'm sure you can. How many times grace, mercy, and forgiveness is written in the Bible. This is what he is. This is what he stands for. This is what he wants you to be. But, and he has given you the plan of, he's told you how to get your life ready for God, to be in heaven. He told you that it's not too late. You can repent and turn your life around and he will forgive you. He has given us more, years have gone by. He's given us all time. We've had time after time. He's blessed you even when you didn't deserve it, because he's still a loving God. He's waiting for you to come to him and ask and tell him, I want to change my life. I want to be with you. I just don't know how. And that's the only thing he needs. Then he will pick you up and show you. But when you've gone back and forth and you hadn't made up your mind, because it's fun you were having fun over here sinning, because we talked about sin being fun, and God has touched the last person with the word. I don't think he's going to wait like a week or another day or two to let it be known. He's coming immediately. As soon as the last person who has learned the truth and learned about God and has made a decision or not. He didn't say all the people that are touched by God or all the people that learn his word are going to turn to him. He's giving them a chance to know the truth so that it's fair, so that they can't say, I didn't know, we didn't know, because God does not hold you accountable for things that you do not know. But if he's giving you a chance to read and know these things, you won't have an excuse. You're not going to have an excuse. So, the loving God that we serve, the forgiving God that we serve, the merciful God, the faithful God, the God who keeps his word, the God who loves you no matter what you do, he's going to say it is over. That is, it's over. No more time, no more time for you to change your mind. No more decisions that you have nothing left. And so what is going to happen is, even though God is love, there's going to be a wrath. His wrath will be that those who denied him, those who lied on him, those who put false messages out about him, those who continued to live in sin and harm people, those who still felt they were inferior or above everyone, and they treated them as such. Just those who thought they were the masters of the universe. It will be time for your judgment and for you to take your punishment. And the wages of sin is death. So if you know that you gave up all of his word, you gave up all of his blessings, you gave up everything to be in this world for temporary satisfaction of material things that's going to be destroyed, or to have power over people just so that you can do whatever you want to them. You know, Diddy is not the first sick person that has walked this planet or used his power to. There was a I can't think. I'm going to find his name in his story. I'm gonna have to add it tomorrow, because I believe tomorrow's our last upload. But he did worse. And the simple fact that he was I don't know if he was a king, whatever he was, he had power. Back then one person ruled, and whatever he says goes. So he didn't have to hide. He didn't have to have those dark parties. He didn't have to do anything. It was done out in the open, because he said, this is what I want and this is what's going to happen, and no one could go against him. So when he was lining up mothers with their little infant babies for him to have them do stuff to him, you can imagine the mothers had no say. They had to allow that to happen. When their mothers would drop their young boys off, they had no say, because he was ruled over. Whatever he said goes. He did so much pain and hurt. Like I said, nothing's new under the sun. But just to know that evil in every generation, evil in every part of the world that went on at whatever time, is all going to come together, and they're going to share. They're going to share their evilness. They're going to share a death together, while the people who remain faithful to God, the people who served him, the people that obeyed him and loved him and did his will be anew. they'll forget that the evil, they forget the pain that they went through. They forget all of the craziness of the world. They don't have to remember that because their life is new. They started a good life that God had promised them for eternity. You're never going to go away. You're never going to pass away. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You're going to live there eternally with Him. And with the people that you love, it's just going to be a great time. I'm not going to keep asking, which one do you want to choose? Your life here on earth or eternal life in heaven? That's for you. If you haven't figured out that it's not worth it to give your life to the devil, then that's your choice. You still have time to, change your mind and come to Him. But we don't know the time nor the hour. And so don't ever think, I have tomorrow. I'll think about it tomorrow. Or I'm still young. I want to party, and then after I get, older, I'll come to God. No, you don't have that kind of time. It's not a, Lord, I just want to have fun. I just want to, live my life and enjoy life. And then I will serve you to the fullest. You don't have that. He doesn't bargain. You don't have a contract. He didn't sign any papers. You didn't sign anything. It doesn't say when you turn 34 that you're going to give up all of the sin that you're doing. You're going to turn yourself over to God, and then everything's going to be fine. This is a decision that is yours and yours alone. You can't blame anybody for the decision that you choose, for the way of life you chose, for the pleasures of pain that you chose. This is your journey. This is your decision. So no one is going to stand up for you and say, I'm sorry, I influenced him. No one's going to be able to ask for forgiveness for you because your childhood caused you to do the things that you did, or you were weak-minded, or because God has given you all the steps, all the things that you needed, all the tools you needed to overcome the things that you couldn't fix yourself. He gives you all those tools. So there's no excuse. There was no excuse for me because I used to be on the fence. I'm going to go to church, but I'm still going to go out and party and still going to continue to drink and get drunk. I'm still, going to do this and do that. And I didn't see anything wrong with it. I was still working, taking care of my bills, making sure life was, okay at my house. But you don't see the long picture, especially kids. If you're out in the club On ladies' night, usually that's Thursday or Wednesday, I don't know. Then you're out Friday, Saturday, and then you might put a Sunday in there. What are your kids doing? Who's influencing them? Who's making sure they're safe? And then you're grooming them. You're letting them know that's the fun thing to do. Can't wait till I get older so I can go to the club. And then of course you're leaving your child in a predicament that could ruin their life. When you bring a child into the world, your life is no longer yours. You have to set aside your playtime. I mean, it's not saying you can't get away, but all that I'm partying every week stuff shouldn't be in the picture. Maybe if you want to go out once a week or whatever, that's fine, but ladies' night will go on without you. I'm very, very, my pain is for children. It's also for women, older people, just about everybody but I especially am an advocate for children because I was that child. The story that the woman left her kids in the house for 4 months and blah, 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 blah. That was me. That was the story before it even became a story, because they weren't, I guess that wasn't big news back then. But that was me. And so I could see the child. I could see me as that child, and how they must have felt like their mother didn't care about them or didn't love them because she barely gave them food to eat. Yeah, it's hard. So that's my pet peeve, is people who mistreat, abuse, SA children. And so if I sound a little harsh towards women, especially because you're most of your time is the caregiver. Now the father should be fighting to be in their kids' life, but if they're not, shame on them. They'll meet their nobody gets away with anything that they think they're getting away with, or whatever. But I'm usually speaking to the mother because you're the primary caregiver, and sometimes women don't use their minds, don't use their heads. Sometimes they take things out on the kids because of the father, and the children did not ask to be born. They did not ask you to pick that man. You knew he was nothing when you laid down with him, and unprotected. And yeah, so it's never the baby's fault. Men, you should understand that sex isn't about you just being pleasured in every shape and form that you want. And then you have a baby. But and you're really not wanting to have that responsibility because you don't want to be bothered with this woman for 18 years. So you leave it up to her to handle it. And yeah, that's frustrating for her, and I can see why she starts to break down and do the things that she does. We hear it every year in the news. Every week in the news, every day in the news. The mother smothered her child. The mother and the boyfriend beat the child to death. The mother threw her kids off the bridge. The mother did whatever to her child because in her mind they were burdens that were left and no one was there to help her. And sometimes it's true. The lady whose 2 kids died in the casino parking lot with the left in the van, she had family members and they wanted to come out and say, well, she, had a warm place. But she said, my family members would not let me come to stay with him. I stayed with one cousin, but she told me I had to go. So of course it's the responsibility of the parent. You had the kids. She went to the father and asked him could he keep his kids until she was able to find a place, and he told her he couldn't keep them because he was living with his girlfriend and her mom. So the decisions that she made, and I don't think they were intentional at all, but the decision that she made cost the life of her 2 children. And it goes on and on and on. And I'm afraid it's probably not going to end until Jesus returns. So he returns. But I would hope that if you see, especially in your family, because strangers, all you could really do is, first of all, CPS isn't worth a darn. Yeah, I said it. So if you call and turn someone in because you believe that they're neglecting and abusing your children, the CPS worker will come out. As long as the house is clean, there's food in the refrigerator, they don't see bruises, or the parent can explain the bruises away, they will say, okay, walk out the door and close the case. But if you have family, like some families, and somebody's being abused in your family, a child, and you see this time to time, who can don't okay, she's your favorite cousin, okay, you love your sister, but at the sacrifice of a child, do intervention. Mom's cooking dinner Sunday, everybody's coming over, and after dinner we're going to discuss why your son has black eyes and broken bones and all these kind of things. You keep saying he's clumsy, but we're just wanting to ask. We're not trying to accuse you, but we're just trying to ask. Sometimes when you confront somebody, you let them know that you know, the whole family knows, maybe they will be scared to harm the child. Again, maybe not. Maybe it's a sickness. But don't let that child down. If you see a child who's just beat up, and they don't even try to hide it anymore. They'll go to school with 2 black eyes if they can, get out of bed. Depends on what else, but they'll go to school with black eyes or whatever. And my heart just cannot leave a child in that condition and not do anything, because first of all, it's not right. Second of all, I would be worried about that child the whole time, and then when something comes on the news that child was beat to death and I had every opportunity to save that child, my life just won't be the same. I guess that's just me. So I hope there's a lot of people out there who care about children, who care that they need a good home start to be successful in life. So if your sister's cusses at your niece and calls her names all the time and does all kinds of things to her, you and your sisters get together and jump her. Let her feel some of the pain that she's inflicting on her daughter, and let her know, would you like to feel this every time that you touch your daughter? No, I'm just kidding. But there just seems that there needs to be some kind of stricter punishment for people who abuse elderly children and women. Most women can. I've seen some women beat men, so there are some women who can defend themselves, but they're not all. Some women are just, vulnerable. Men, what happened to the days of chivalry? I'm not getting in that. You see the boyfriend, the man, beating his girl on the street, and of course the code is you're not getting in that, which is true. They say once you get in that, then he and her turn around and turn on you, which is true. But if you know him, maybe you can talk, man, just calm down for a little bit and just come back, and it's not worth it or whatever. There was a group of young boys, because they are probably the younger ones, 13, 14, whatever. I believe they are the most dangerous people on this right now in this world. I don't know if it's because, I don't know, but they seem to be the most dangerous. And so I was watching, it was 4 or 5 boys that were coming out of a store, and I think they were trying to, one of them was trying to talk to this girl who has every right to say, I'm not interested in, or I have a boyfriend, and go on about her business. Well, it didn't go too well for them, rejection. So they started punching the girl. And so this elderly man jumped in to try to help her. He's seen a poor young girl being beaten and jumped on and kicked, and he tried to stop them, and they turned their abuse on him, kicked and punched and did all those things. Other people stood around and said, you know, of course, don't stop that. And then they pulled out guns and was like, anybody else want to get, you know. I just hope that there's people who are tired, who want to protect their communities, want to protect the kids in their communities, and everybody else, that they're not going to allow them to be tortured in their own homes, in their own community. Why don't you have, you know, boxing ring, put up a boxing ring, let them box it out, you know, give them, you know, something, because they would like that, you know, because I'm the champ, can't nobody beat me. And then they're not really going after citizens who are minding their business. Yeah, I just pray. I pray every day that God just watches over the needy, the sick, the people that need Him. And that if you find yourself in a predicament, that you have the right mind to know what to do. God always has His your guardian angel there, but you need to know the right thing to do. And sometimes maybe it's not to get physically involved. Maybe it's to write down all the information you can see, and so that they could be caught, not do anything to anybody else. This is a little long, so I hope everyone has a good day, and that they're reading, studying their books, the Bible, and asking God to come into their life and help them grow their mustard seed. And I thank everyone again, and until next time.